who you are as a brand is integral to actually seeing those conversions that you see when your marketing does go out into the audience.
Martians landed?
Yes.
Wearing Prada suits?
Yes.
Drinking Henry Seltzer?
Yes.
Chewing juicy fruit?
Yes, and?
Your branding here?
Yes, brand.
Your message here?
Yes, and?
A verse about?
Yes.
Your product here?
Yes.
I'm Hersh Rephun.
Yes, and?
I'm a message therapist.
Yes.
And I have a podcast.
Yes, brand.
That's right, that's it.
Yes.
We'll help you fix the world.
Yes.
Or your bottom line.
All right.
Your bottom line.
Get it. I get it. Welcome to the Yes Brand Podcast.
In the hot seat today on Yes Brand is Nicole Powell. Nicole is a certified brand strategist. She's an expert in neuromarketing, and she is the founder of Halcon Marketing Solutions, which happens to be a woman and minority-owned agency that specializes in innovative branding and marketing strategies. She was born in Manila in the Philippines and raised in the Bronx, New York. And Nicole's journey's taken her all over from California to New York before settling in St. Louis. So we're both Midwesterners 8 years ago. She's got a couple of little toddlers. I don't have toddlers anymore. My granddaughter is a toddler, but that's pretty close. And then, but we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about life and the journey and how through Halcon, Nicole is on a mission to redefine marketing, which is super exciting to someone who is in marketing and branding, fostering a culture where creativity and community thrive, empowering businesses to build brands that leave a lasting impact. Nicole, welcome to the show.
Hi, Hersh. Thanks for having me. So happy to be here.
It's great to have you. We have a lot to talk about today, but let's start with your mission. Let's start with your mission to redefine marketing. What's wrong with marketing?
Well,
What's
there's
wrong with
nothing
it the
wrong
way it
with
is?
marketing.
Leave it the way it is.
So I think there's a lot of misinformation when it comes to marketing. And unfortunately, at least from a lot of folks and clients that I hear about, they don't have the best perception of what marketing is or
Oh,
how
yeah.
it's done, who they work with, or how that whole dynamic is. And ultimately, especially for me, coming from the bigger brand world and working with, the brands that we all know and love, and now working with small and mid-sized businesses, I think the biggest thing that they're missing is the importance of brand strategy, brand development. Who you are as a brand is integral to actually seeing those conversions that you see when your marketing does go out into the audience. So I think this idea that marketing is just throwing a bunch of money into, digital tactics, which is, I think, I love digital tactics. No offense
Yeah.
to anyone who does digital marketing, but I think it's also important to have that brand identity and to stand for something bigger than yourself, and then creating that message that ultimately is the foundational piece for all those marketing efforts, right? I
Yeah.
think right now from a lot of my conversations, they just think marketing is a PPC ad or a billboard and nothing else, right?
Yeah.
And additionally, I think the biggest thing that I've learned in doing this whole marketing thing is there's this perception, and I guess it's not a perception, a huge part of it is reality, that it's pretty cutthroat, right? And there's a lot of pressure, because there's always going to be a new person or a next person to take that job, a lot of burnout, a lot of all those things, focusing more on how can we bill more on less time, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So along with this whole redefinition of marketing kind of theme is that I really do truly believe that if you have that healthy, collaborative, community focused environment, you're going to do marketing exceptionally well, because one, you have the bandwidth in your brain to be creative. I mean, marketing is creative, right? It's
Yeah.
strategic creativity. But if you're in these pressure cookers all the time, which I feel does happen a lot of the times, you're not able to let that flourish. And it's to the detriment of yourself as a marketer, but also to your clients who are expecting you to deliver these, huge strategies that's going to help them with sales. So, my huge mission, yes, the marketing stuff, but also to showcase that this is doable, this is possible, and we're doing it right now, right? And
Yeah.
my focus on people, and all that fun stuff that comes out of it.
Well, yeah, and there's a lot of great stuff in there. I was very happy to hear you talk about message because as you were talking about how, throwing ad dollars, marketing dollars, using and yes, all those tools are amazing. We can't do it without it, but uh, they might think, well, we just got to get our message out there. We just got to get our message. We got to drill that message. Well, yeah, but what is the message? How profound is your message? Whatever your product is, how on point is the message? Because without that,
Mhm.
all the money in the world isn't selling the right idea. And as you've kind of alluded to, the alignment is off. If you're off in your message, and we've seen this with brands, all the biggest brands in the world, and you've worked with some huge brands, but we've seen like Coke go off, Pepsi go off brand and go off message and kind of get a little bit lost, but you must have learned working with, Viacom, ESPN, Fox. You must have learned some really good lessons and had some really good experiences.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, to be around those individuals who I learned a lot from, who are super creative, I've just absorbed all of those uh, tactics, those methodologies, those ways of thinking, and also a little bit of, I guess, the perfectionism that goes along with it, right? Um, and one thing that I learned and is super important, and I pass along to all of the campaigns we do now, is just how important it is to have that brand consistency, right? The messaging, the alignment, and all touch points. I think, you know, a brand book, a core messaging guide is only as good as if you actually go out and use it and infuse it in all of your marketing, right?
Yeah.
I think it's interesting when we receive these RFPs when I was working for, the Viacoms of the world and things like that, and you get the big brand books and they've created so they've invested so much time and energy into this, right? At that point, nothing's been created, right? Nothing
Right.
has seen airwaves, nothing. So much brain calories was invested in this one brand book and messaging. And the idea, I think when I transitioned into more of the smaller mid-sized businesses where it's like a brand is a logo, I feel that there's such a disconnect sometimes. And I really want to just be like,
Yeah.
no, the reason why you're buying that soda is because of all of the brand strategy that they actually spent all this money on. So this is
Yeah.
important too. Yeah.
Yeah, so uh, it's funny because having small businesses as clients, and in my case, sometimes there are people whose business is named after them, so it's a personal brand, but the personal brand in a small business still matters because most likely they're associated with the company. Often they're the face of the company, um, and the idea that the logo is somehow going to save them or establish them or whatever. And it's the same with, I'm going to be talking about this on Friday with Nancy Zare, my colleague who does the sales side, and I do the branding side. Basically,
Well,
we're going to talk about monikers because a lot of people also think that if they're a small business, a personal brand, the name, the whole thing, everything is going to come down to that superficial element. But that's a manifestation of the internal element.
mhm.
Um, you were talking about the brand guides and all that stuff. It's all great stuff. I mean, we're not knocking all of these wonderful tools. It's
Oh,
just
of course.
it really helps when it's got a soul to it. you know.
Correct.
Let's get back to your story a little bit. So you were working for these kind of powerhouse companies. What
Mhm.
was what was the kind of light bulb that went off in your head that you wanted to transition?
Sure. So I'll never forget it. I still remember it. I was on the red carpet for Video Music Awards a
Oh yeah,
long time ago. Um, and we were doing an activation, a live activation for a brand, a fashion company. And we had I was part of the production team, and we had our integrated marketing person there who's speaking on behalf of the client's there, and they're literally kind of dictating the who, what, where, why, right?
yeah,
And then we're executing these things, right? For the brand. And then I thought more about it and I thought, wait a second. Wouldn't it be cool to be that person who's telling someone like me what this should be like or what this should look like? Because there's still a level of creativity, right? Because, I loved the whole production world, the television production world, putting clips together, all of that fun stuff. But that doesn't go away, right? If you focus more on marketing, you could still
yeah.
really do all of those fun things. And that's really when I started to think, hey, maybe this marketing thing is what I actually really want to do. And then I skipped over to marketing and I've been there ever since.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that's a great lesson for younger people as well. Where we start is by definition not where we want to end, but also don't be afraid of the journey, right? Don't be afraid of doing something that, you may not do forever. I don't, I envied some of my friends who had plotted a course from the very beginning of exactly what they wanted to do and stuck to it. And I get it. It takes out a lot of stress, takes out a lot of mystery, but quite often what you want to do, at 20 years old is not what you want to do later on in life. How has becoming a mom influenced what you're doing, your career, your journey?
Sure. So actually, before I answer that question,
Yeah,
it's interesting you brought up that little tidbit or those few things earlier because just last week I posted something on my Instagram pictures pictures from when I was in LA when I was doing more on camera work from a long time ago. So that was one of those things where I had that dream. It was always in the back of my head. Even though I was doing this marketing thing, there was always this thing like what if, what if, what if? So I went for it, right? I'm
yeah.
like this is my dream. So I moved to LA. I'm doing all these things. I'm freelancing. And after all that, I realized, I don't really like this. It's kind of hard for me to act and pretend I like somebody when I actually really don't like them. So maybe I'm not really meant to be part of this. And initially, I thought it was a huge failure, right? I thought,
Uh,
man, I just didn't cut it. I didn't make it. But at the end of the day, upon reflection, I allowed myself to be open to the other possibilities and to the possibility that maybe this was just my dream when I was 18, 19, and at 10 years later, it's not anymore. So yeah, so it's
yeah,
interesting you brought up that fact. But anyway,
yeah,
so being a mom. So has motherhood affected? I answered that question. I forgot the question that you asked me.
yeah, yeah. Really, really, how did becoming a mom change or affect the trajectory of your career?
So I had to actually really find a lot of patience with my career, and I'll explain a little bit now. So I started this agency when I was in 2018, and I got pregnant that same year. So I had my first baby, which was the agency, and then I got
I
pregnant.
thought you were making the quote marks around baby.
No, oh
I had
no,
my first
first
baby.
baby. No, it's a real baby. I had my first robot. No, I had my first baby, which was my business. And
Yeah,
then I quickly got pregnant. And I've always been a very ambitious person. What's the next goal? What's the next goal? What's the next goal? And I really had to take a step back and reassess what my new priorities were, what my new goals were. And I'll be honest, it was very difficult because I felt like I wasn't doing the best I could, or my business wasn't as successful as it should be because I'm not out there 5 days a week working.
Right.
But I had to take that step back and say, hey, this is success too. You working 3 out of 5 days, you're giving yourself that patience and let your business grow organically without going full steam ahead all the time.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that really has been a blessing because I took it quote unquote slower in the beginning. I was able to really create that infrastructure that I needed to scale and to grow when I had some more time on my hands. But ultimately, up until I had my children, my career was my focal, the center
Yeah.
of my,
Yeah.
um, and that all shifted.
It really does. Well, it really does change your view of success. Like this morning, like I get up early, I come in here and I do work, but this is in my house. You know, the office, the studio is in my house. And then I walk out, you know, it's at 6:30 or something. I walk out of here and I go to my daughter's room, and then I go down and make her breakfast, get her ready for school. My wife gets ready for work, and it's like that's success. You
Mhm,
know, I get pictures of my granddaughters or whatever. You know, it's like that's success. But sometimes we forget because we are locked into certain results. But
mhm.
you know, the whole word success, I think, uh, deserves deserves examination.
I
And I,
completely,
you know, I think that's maybe what it is. So now we didn't talk about your book yet. Um, you made a contribution as an author to Living Well with
with
Grit, to that
yes,
anthology, GRIT, right?
yes,
What
yes.
talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So it's called A Suitcase and a Basket of Chocolates. And it really interesting, but it really talks about my journey from Manila to the Bronx, well, to New York.
Yeah.
It kind of touches upon exactly what you just talked about, this definition of success, one of my most vivid memories upon arriving to America, apart from being very cold and seeing a coat for the first time, because the Philippines, it's always warm, right? I've
Yeah.
never seen a coat. Is I walked into our apartment in the Bronx, and my mom had a giant basket of chocolates. And for me, I never saw that much chocolate in my entire life. So then America kind of became, well, it already was up until that point, this like abundance, like I can do whatever, all of these things I can do. And then growing up in Manila too, my vision was Disney World and actors and Hollywood and all of that stuff,
Oh,
money and brands. So then that idea of what success was really carried into my life up until I think my adulthood, right? That I
yeah.
had to keep
Yeah.
moving up. And, it's that corner office, it's that, how many figures on your salary, it's that title. And I really owe moving to the Midwest here, getting married, having children, starting my agency to really fully understanding that that is a definition of success for some people, but it's not the definition of
Yeah.
success.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what I talk about in the book is this kind of redefinition of what I thought was the American dream, and that I was already living it, but it took me so long to finally understand what that dream was because I was
Yeah.
so enamored with what everyone else was telling me what the dream was.
Well, the images that get into our heads when we're little,
Mhm.
you know, to a great extent, you know, on the one hand, we lose some of the innocence as we get older, but on another hand, subconsciously, those images, you know, like in your case, you know, Disneyland and Hollywood, and I had the same thing. I grew up in Miami Beach, and we used to go to Disney World every summer, and like from the time I was 7, and going there was like that was really what ignited my fascination with entertainment, not not just seeing movies, which I certainly loved, and listening to records with my family and all that, but the magic of that place was like overwhelming, and I think that just gets in your mind, and on the one hand it inspires you, on the other hand it deludes you a little bit because it is somewhat an illusion. So
Mhm.
it represents a fantasy. It's a fantasy. So it becomes challenging to reconcile those. Like when you, as you say, you decided I'm going to go out. I'm going to be in front of the camera. I did the
Yeah,
same thing with stand-up comedy. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go do it. And as great as it isn't always what you want to do, forever or next. Um,
right,
you know,
right.
let's talk about Halcon a little bit. And we are the Yes Brand podcast. Tell us about the Halcon brand and
Sure.
how where you see that going.
Sure. So, first and foremost, I like to tell folks that Halcon is a brand strategy, brand development agency. That's what
Yeah,
I love to do.
yeah,
And we look at all of our projects and assess the businesses that we work with and the clients we work with on whether or not, hey, have you identified who you are as a brand first and foremost, and then go from there. Um, and what I ultimately also love is kind of fusing neuroscience, psychology, market research, just our own experience as experienced marketers, right? Kind of combining all those together to create strategies to help our businesses really stand out and be remembered. Um, I think it's easy to quantify, an ad here or an ad there. It's easy to say, okay, some people had, this ad had 50,000 impressions versus 2,000 impressions. But for me, what really gets me motivated and passionate is when I see loyal brand advocates, brand ambassadors, recurring customers, because that to me is exciting, because I know that, okay, our brand strategy, our brand messaging, and our campaigns are working. And ultimately, I want our clients to know that it's not just about what you're doing, but how you are essentially being perceived. And that's what we focus on at Halcon.
yeah. What kinds of what is your ideal kind of client, or what clients get you really excited?
Oh, I love this question. So it's not based off of industry. We will work with anyone. It's all about values. Folks that are growth oriented and collaborative, people that really welcome us in. I know we're a quote unquote third party. I use quotes a lot. A
Yeah,
quote
yeah,
unquote third party, but I think the best partnerships happen when they do feel as if we are part of their team, not just kind of this external group. Because ultimately, as folks that represent their brand and create assets and marketing for their brand, we got to really understand who they are. And we can't do that if they don't let us in.
yeah,
So folks that want a partnership more than just, a third party team that they hire to get something done to cross off a list because they know that they have to do marketing because everyone says they have to do marketing. I said that really quickly. But a true partnership and someone who's willing to grow with us. I mean, we are a small team right now. We are doing really wonderful things, but I want a team who kind of sees us as, I hate to be sappy, but a family as well, where we could all grow together and see each other succeed. That would be great. Just nice people. That's another
yeah.
one.
Well,
Simple.
and that's an interesting thing because I work with people all over the world, because I lived in all over the place,
Yeah.
from Florida to LA to New York, LA, and now the Midwest.
Mhm.
And you've had quite a journey as well, and work with people from all over. But now the but I do echo this kind of nice people. It's like like this is inconsequential, but I was like, wow, I'm glad Nicole has more of a Midwestern accent than a Bronx accent, because it might just be a little more, friendly or welcoming. Um and my wife and daughters were just in St. Louis this weekend for
Oh,
a volleyball meet. But
oh, fun.
um but but basically it's like, yeah, who doesn't want to work with nice people? You get a better result, and
Right.
niceness is essentially about your own happiness. If your client comes to you with a really nice way of treating you,
Mhm.
they're happier inside in general. So there's a much better chance it's going to be a
Life's too short.
wonderful, yeah, life's too short. It's going to
Life's
be a
too short.
wonderful outcome for everybody. Um,
Yeah,
as we kind of come to the conclusion of this has been so much fun.
I
Um,
know.
Really, I love talking to you. I would love to have you just kind of impart a little advice to people our colleagues, but people who are just starting out in marketing, branding, that kind of thing.
Sure, this is a good question. I have so much advice. Um, for folks that are really starting out in marketing and branding, I think it's really important for you to understand the different facets of marketing. I think what I've encountered with a lot of individuals who are entering, even interns, they think that marketing is social media only. And then they hone in on one tactic, right? Or one channel or one platform. But the best marketers, you don't have to be a specialist or an expert at one piece of marketing, but you should understand how the different channels and tactics all work together. How do the puzzle pieces fit? And I think that's what makes a really great strategist is to be a specialist in one, right? I love brand development, but at the end of the day, I'm also a generalist, right? So I understand that I might not know how the heck the back end of SEO or search engine optimization works, but I understand that this is my client's goal and SEO will help accomplish that in XYZ. So I think just honing in on one and kind of disregarding everything else is you're limiting yourself to being a really incredible strategist at the end of the day.
Alright.
If you liked the show,
Yes, and?
it worked for you,
Yes, then?
subscribe and leave a
Yes, friend.
5-star review.
Yes, friend.
Tell all your friends.
Yes, friend.
Get your branding here.
Yes, friend.
Get your branding here.
Yes, friend.
Did I make it clear?
Yes, friend.
Get your branding on.